Shall we begin?
Hey YouTube friends, Ben.O.CHART here, and what am I doing? I am on a business trip. That's why I'm dressed like this, and I'd rather have a t-shirt and shorts on, but I'm here in San Diego and I'm going to visit the Aquarium Depot. If you can see that sign, this is supposed to be the biggest shop on the west. Let's take a look inside and see what they got. That's Ron, the owner over there. And the first thing you see when you walk in is this enormous tank full of Frontosa. Absolutely beautiful. These are not for sale. These are Ron's babies. And he said that since he moved in about 90 days ago, they've put on a lot of size in this 500-gallon tank. That clown down there is about a foot long, just to give you a perspective. Beautiful tank, beautiful Frontosas. So right off the bat, I knew I was in a pretty serious fish place. But you can't buy these. But if you want a Frontosa, he can hook you up. He's got an assortment, a pretty good assortment of Frontosa in the shop. Several varieties, and even some oddball and exotics that I'd never seen before. He has the usual assortment of supplies, food and decor, things of this nature, the kind of stuff you'd see in most shops. And because he has so much shelf space, it might not look like he has a lot, but he actually does have quite a bit of stuff spread out over a very large space. This is this space I'm in. It's like an airplane hangar. I mean, it's very, very large. It's an industrial park and a bit off the beaten path. There's some shells for those of you who keep shellies. And so he has a tremendous amount of square footage here to work with. Very, very high ceilings. A lot of shelf space. Good selection of rocks. Has some good substrates, including some real nice crushed corals and some black sand. People are always asking me where I get the black sand from my 100. He had some great black sand here. Some lava rock. He also had a good selection of, your mesquite, your driftwoods, something for a very large tank, all the way down to smaller pieces to put into maybe a smaller tank. Very nice plant selection. Great assortment and variety. You find pretty much any kind of plant. And the two tanks here at the end of his plant selection were really impressive. You can see the water quality is just pristine. And just the overall health and look of the plants tells you that, he's really paying attention to what he's doing. Probably injecting some CO2. Using a little bit of sea chem flourish, obviously. But look at the quality of these plants. This final tank here actually is comparable to CK. But what we want to see here is this. Row after row after row. 3 high, probably 20 long. These are 120-gallon tanks. And each tank, and this impressed me quite a bit, has its own water change system. So these tanks are not sharing water. You're not going to get cross-contamination. The kind of thing I'd worry about in some of the big box stores, where if there's a sick fish 20 tanks over, he's contaminated all the tanks. This guy looks familiar. Reminds me a little bit of a Corey's puffer. He's not for sale, but you can buy some of these little guys. These pea puffers were for sale. Very cute. He's only been there for 90 days, and he already has hundreds of fry spread out across numerous tanks. These are some bicolor 500s. He had some Johnsonii, Plastochromis Johnsonii fry. Just teeny fry. Many tanks full of them. So this tells you something about just the quality of the water and the conditions that he has them in for these fish to be breeding that way. Here's some lemon jakes, one of my favorite fish. Of course, the little fry are not for sale. These are going to get grown out. He also had just a great collection of calvus. If you're in the market for some, he had perhaps the best variety of an assortment that I've seen in any shop. Some of them common, some of them rare. He also had a nice collection of Julies. You can see by the look of the fish, by the activity level, everybody's doing well. Filtrations seem to be mostly sponges, like you see in arrangements where there are lots of tanks. These are very pretty. He also had a very nice Tropheus collection. If you're into Tropheus, you definitely need to visit this store because he has just beautiful varieties. Again, more selection of Tropheus than I've probably seen anywhere else. All of them looking healthy, strong, active. And then you turn a corner, and all of a sudden you're in an absolute African cichlid sort of wonderland where tank after tank after tank is just full of these beautiful cichlids. And you could conceivably come here. Let's say you have a tank that's cycled. Look at these beauties here. If you had a tank that was cycled and ready, you could pick up a dozen fish, all different types, and you'd have like a dream cichlid tank instantly. Get some sunshines here. Again, the fish active, healthy. I'm not seeing any clamped fins. I'm not seeing any fin rot. I'm not seeing fish that look like they're in any kind of distress. Very odd fish there. Very pretty. Some of these I've just never seen before. The red tail and the black pec fins on the pectoral fins are just really stunning on this fish. The stripe through the eye.
Pretty.
Little orange red on these, like German reds. Again, another fish I've never seen. Looks like those black pectoral fins really offset the color of the body. Some zebras. He's got fish from different lakes, Lake Victoria.
I can't say I never lose a fish, but overall I do pretty good.
Who doesn't?
One of my favorites, your Lethrinops. It was really hard for me not to pick up one of these guys. That male there is just stunning. Leucochromis spectabilis. One of my favorite fish.
These are very pretty specimens.
Look at these guys. Look at the blue on that body.
Over. I'll leave them on. So
Albino compressiceps. As if they weren't crazy enough, let's turn them into albinos. Yeah. I guess different fish come with different temperaments. This is a beautiful fish.
we have to build it in 3 pieces and bring it in here and finish welding it together in here. Wow,
Some very young Meduca white lips, not quite turned blue yet. And this is actually their dad. This is the father. It's kind of funny. He just was sitting there watching his young.
fish that's really caught on.
He had some barracudas.
People love the idea of a barracuda. They're
Very interesting looking fish. He has a nice selection of geophagus, different types. I'm going to show you one in a minute that's going to blow you away.
less common geos.
I'm also going to show you what is considered the most aggressive
They get to the same size.
freshwater fish that you can legally own,
Let me see.
and that'll be coming up in just a few minutes here. But I was just walking around the store with my phone, and I just couldn't. I mean, I really cut this down. I mean, this could have been a 2-hour video. So many tanks, so many different kinds of fish. Every time I turn a corner, there'd be another tank full of just gorgeous, gorgeous specimens.
They started getting the speckles and you started trying to.
These were not for sale. I think he's going to breed these. Some albino red empress, just beautiful fish.
What is this guy here? This
There's that oddball looking one.
Iceberg electric.
Very interesting color.
Ghost iceberg electric. That is really.
Some dolphins. These are pretty good size. The largest ones in here were probably pushing maybe 5 to 6 inches. Some really nice hawks. You got sailfin cat back there. It's a big boy. Again, fish that you just don't see too often. Very nice selection of Buccochromis norteñas. An electric blue back there. Good looking fish. Back when I had Buna, I had some of these yellowtails. Pretty peaceful as far as Mbuna go. Xerox, young Xerox, one of my favorite fish. Get that beautiful yellow blaze on the body. Some Fuscos. Fuscos are really pretty when they're young. Of course, they're pretty all the time. But some rams, interesting looking rams, like a golden ram. But the patterns on a Fusco. Erratus, run for your life. The patterns on a Fusco are very pretty when they're young, just like a living stone eye or a polystigma in that Nimbochromis family. Some redfin borleis. How many fish have you seen that you want to come over and buy? I could have easily dropped a lot of money in this store. Rusties are one of my favorite. If I had a Mbuna tank, I'd have Rusties for sure. Kind of like the lemon Jake of the Mbuna family. These cute little guys turn into monsters, jaguar cichlids. Eventually, they'll probably have to live alone in a big tank. This guy was amazing. A wild-caught Severum. Look at the face on that guy. I'd never seen one of those in person before. Some albino Oscars. Like some parrotfish.
When you get that X factor of the shipping.
Shipping's getting ridiculous, man. The guy called me and said he had this. I told him not really have a tank big enough for a fish that size.
It's some of those old box filters.
For my tank down, I sent a bucket.
Look at the size of this guy. It's an arowana. He adopted this fish and is just trying to find a home for it. Where do you think you can find an arowana that size for $120? Of course, you're going to have a very large tank with a very strong lid. Some more rams. Very pretty fish. Some of the more common community tank fish. He had a whole row of what you'd call community fish. Chinese algae eaters, rasboras. So if you're not necessarily into cichlids, you also can pick up some nice little community fish for your nano tank or for your planted tank. He can definitely hook you up with that. Again, some of those old box filters with the charcoal and floss on top. But you know what? They're doing the job. Some of those reticulated hill stream loaches. These are the ones that Corey talked about the other day. They can live in cold water. Very interesting looking. Beautiful tetras. Again, they have, he has fish here really for all types of aquariums. Great selection and consistently healthy from tank to tank. Beautiful little cleaning crew here, some catfish. These apparently are pretty rare. Some albino cories. Prices overall seem pretty fair. I didn't see anything that I thought was overpriced. And in some cases I saw some things that I had purchased where I'd paid more elsewhere. A nice selection of bala sharks. Look at this. It looks like a barb and a guppy had an offspring here. Crazy flowing fins on this fish. That super red monkey. This guy was enormous. Really interactive, really friendly, and really sort of getting right in your face. Certainly not afraid of you. Over a foot long for sure. More of those fish with red and green and black on the body. Very pretty. These are all neons. Some live bears, some mollies and platies. Row after row after row. More geophagus. It's like a little tire track eel here that poked his head out to say hello. Very cute. Type of keelyfish. Some gobies. Interesting how they stick to things like the glass, rocks, and decor. A nice selection of gouramis. Had some small ones and also had some very large ones. These are very pretty. Very unusual barb. Hadn't seen this one before with the black marking on the side. rainbows. Apparently a pretty rare type of scavenger fish here, catfish. Looks like a Synodontis, but I don't think it is. Yo-yo loach. These can get pretty big. Pretty peaceful, though. Great selection of plecos. Some of them were just massive beasts. When I see plecos that big, I imagine that someone brought them who didn't realize how big they were going to get. But these were just very rare and beautiful, large plecos. Look at this geo right here, this geophagus. Look at the flowing fins. Absolutely beautiful. Maybe he's trying to breed this pair. There's another one in here too. Little pleco hotel. Gold spots on this one. Several of them in this tank. Very pretty. Very impressive. I hadn't seen a pike like this before.
It's a beautiful
He was
pike.
pretty mellow. He was well over a foot. I'd say maybe 15, maybe even as much as 18 inches long.
I didn't work that fish and landed at that price.
Considered to be the most aggressive freshwater fish in the world. That's quite a claim, right? Take a look at this guy. He looks like he has a leather hide on him. He was living with another one of his same species that was almost twice as long, and they had to separate them because the bigger one would have eaten this one. And apparently they have very sharp teeth. They can actually rip your hand open if you're not careful.
So this
Ron came over and had a face-off with him. The fish didn't back down, even when he put his hand up. The fish just sort of stared him down, gave him that sort of, do you want a piece of me look? Come and get it. I was impressed by how committed Ron is to the whole operation. And you can tell he's got his heart in it. And he's not done. He's got all these rows of tanks, and he wants to build out that very back wall. He already has it, has the plumbing in. So the very back wall that you see behind the tanks when you look down the rows, that's going to be full of 120-gallon tanks.
Okay, that was epic. Absolutely epic. I'm gonna get home. I got a 2-hour drive. I'm gonna get this guy into quarantine. And I hope you enjoyed this tour. Be sure to rate, sub, hit the like button, share, all that good stuff. And that's it for me from San Diego. Bye-bye.
If you're ever in the area, be sure to stop by the Aquarium Fish Depot. You can see the information there, and you can pick up a beast just like I did. I'll show them to you in my next video.